theory that you should always start on time. I'll take a vote to prove it. How many people think we should start on time? How many people think we should reward the people who are late? Every time it comes out that way. So, in this case, I don't think anybody's late. So this next one is iOS photography, and I outsourced this one to Steve Stanger. He is a phenomenal photographer. He's really, really good at iOS photography. So I had massive assistance from him in figuring out how to do this. Oh, let me. Where's my iPhone? Hang on. Visual aids. So what we're going to walk through today is some tips for shooting. We're going to start out kind of slow and just start with some of the basics. And then tips for processing, go through some photo workflow, and then talk about how to move photos from one device to another. So let's see, let's go. So with a big giant SLR camera, you've got a nice big weight that makes it really, really easy to hold still. But when you've got a light little iPhone, it's real easy to just kind of go like this with it and wobble it around. So a couple of things you might want to think about is trying to really to use two hands when you're doing your photography with iOS. And another thing to remember is when you take the photo, it's actually when you let go of the little on-screen button that it takes the photo. So if you're always pushing the button, you're wobbling the phone and making your pictures wobbly. But if you just put your finger on the button and then just gently lift up, you're going to get a much more stable image. That's kind of a nice little trick. You can also use the volume plus button on the side of the phone to take the photo. Personally, I can never remember whether it's plus or minus, and I feel like I jiggle the phone too much when I do that. So I always end up reverting back to the on-screen button. But if you're handing your phone to someone to take a picture for you, that might, if they don't understand, they might be able to do that a little bit better.
Actually, now on these, both buttons work.
Oh, Pat's saying plus or minus works on the iPhone 5? Maybe it's because everybody's like me and can never remember which one. That's a good tip. I'll have to check that out.
Even on the 4S it works.
On the 4S, it's also both buttons?
Maybe it's iOS 6 related.
Oh, it might be iOS 6. Oh, cool. It's working on the 4. All right. Cool.
The other useful feature is that if you want to take a surreptitious photograph, put it up to your ear as if you're listening to somebody and press the button.
He's saying you can press the button. Oh,
the plus button. Oh.
So he's saying hold the phone like this and take a picture. Wait, like this? Okay, Raleigh, that's just weird.
It's great in churches where you aren't supposed to.
Oh, jeez,
Raleigh.
Exactly. Come on, we've learned from Wally yesterday. You're supposed to ask permission before you take people's photographs. By the way, we did try that today. The first people we asked said no. Everyone looked at us like we were nuts. So.
Happens.
All right, yeah. So the iPhone really likes a lot of light. It's got a very small sensor size, so it can't bring in as much light as a big professional camera. So if you have to shoot in low light, you want to really find a way to stabilize the camera. So setting it on something stable is obviously a good idea, and they have cases that'll actually make it easy to let them stand up. But you can lean against a wall and get a much better image than you normally would if you pay attention to that. Turning on lights in the room, what I find often happens is I've got people I'm going to take a picture of, and they're standing with a light behind them. Like last night, or at the cocktail party a couple nights ago, Leo was doing this hilarious Russian chess player imitation, and I just very gradually turned until he was not in front of the light, because I didn't want to stop the impression, but moving until the light was on his face was much, much better. Now that's true with any kind of camera, but it's even more so true with a camera that doesn't have a big sensor, and because it does like a lot of light. Another way to help in low light is let me see, I'm going to bring up, let's see if I can do this. Whoops. Got that. I'm going to go, let me start, whoops, hang on. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. I turn on reflection again. And device, okay, enter full screen. Okay, come on. My Wi-Fi network still on. Hang on. Sorry about that. I got Cocky being ready for the other one, so am I need to be connected to that one. There we go. There we go.
And everyone is solving this problem a different way. Don, you, and
There we go. And do full screen. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to jump in and out of this a couple of times, but I'm going to go into photography here. There's an app called Camera Plus. And by the way, when Steve and I went through the ideas of how to put this together, I could have sat down here and listed 426 iOS applications and told you what each one of them did, and you would have left remembering none of them, or maybe one of them. So we decided to just kind of focus on a couple and give you the concepts of them, and then maybe you'll find other ones that work better for you, or you like the ones that we picked. The third one from the left on the bottom is Camera Plus, and you've probably heard of it. But when you go to take a photo, if you see the gear on the right-hand side of my screen, when I tap that, I can get some other options, and one of them is stabilizer. So when I go to take the photo, if I'm jiggling around like this, I've already pressed the button. You can see it's red. I'm jiggling around, and then I stop. It just made a little noise and took the picture. So that's a way of getting a stabilized image instead of a nice jerky one like you're probably trying not to get.
so it waits to take the picture when you stop?
It waits to take the picture
Jiggling?
until you stop jiggling around. Right, right.
What's that called again?
It's Camera Plus. So it's right here. And there's links at the end of this. I have the giant link farm of doom again on this one. So you can get links to all of the different applications. So let's see. Another option within there is it's got a timer mode.
Yes.
And that's kind of nice because you can also just put it on the timer. And, you know, it's got 5 seconds to take the picture. And then you can set it down somewhere and even get in the photo. So that's a real nice feature. The iPhone 5 camera has less grain and low light than the previous iPhones. It's getting better and better, but these still give you a better fighting chance to get a better photo if you've got something to stabilize your image, like setting it on a table with a timer or using the stabilizer. So some people might ask about, well, I want to use the digital zoom. No, never, never ever use the digital zoom. It's horrible. If you want the photo zoomed in, take the photo and then crop it to zoom it in. Because if you don't do that, if you use the digital zoom, you're actually losing information. You're taking a worse photo. You're getting a lower resolution photo than if you take it full res and then crop in. So I don't ever want to catch any of you using the digital zoom.
But if you go to, like if I go to a medical conference and they show a picture of an x-ray or a path slide, if I do that and then it's all grainy when I blow it up.
It's going to be grainy either way. That's because you don't have enough light. That's the problem. Sit in the front row.
No,
You've got to do that. Yeah, yeah. No, it would be bad either way. That is not going to save a bad photo by using the digital zoom. Another fun thing is HDR photography, and if you've got an iPhone, you've got this built in already. It's called high dynamic range, and the idea of high dynamic range is it's trying to imitate what your eye can do naturally. So if you're looking at a beautiful mountain with a bright blue sky with bright white puffy clouds in the background, your eye can see all of the detail in the mountains. It can see the trees. It can see the dark shadows, and it can also see the depth in the clouds. If you take that same photograph with your camera, you're either going to get all the clouds blown out, so they're pure white and a good-looking mountain, or you're going to get a dark shadow where the mountain is, and you're going to get blown out clouds. So the camera sensor can't do both of those things at the same time. The idea of high dynamic range photography is to take two photographs or more, one underexposed, one overexposed, so that you get the best of both worlds, and then it combines them back together. The iPhone camera has that built in as an automatic mode that you can go into where you can take that same photo. Couple of tips on it though is it doesn't work with moving objects, because the first photo and the second photo aren't going to be lined up with each other. So you can, if you want to, you can get some really cool effects on people as they're wiggling in and out of the photograph. But if you're trying to take a good photo, it's not the greatest idea. But this can save bad lighting sometimes. You can get away with a little bit more if you use the HDR option on your phone. Keep in mind it's taking two photographs every time. And if you're managing the size of your, your storage, you might want to keep an eye on that and delete the one you don't like. I find at least half the time I use this, though, that I like the non-HDR one better. I find that sometimes it's a little weird looking. With higher-end cameras, you can do bracketing where you can take a whole bunch of different exposures and combine them in software and everything. So, All right, so I want to give a couple of tips on processing. There's a lot of great apps out there for post-processing your photos, but it's a real temptation to go crazy wild with the special effects. You're gonna put on frames, and you're gonna put on special filters, and you're gonna go all to the extreme edges, and nobody's gonna want to look at your photos. The good applications have sliders that let you change the intensity of that effect. So you can go from 0 to 100% and back, and you don't have to use 100%. You might want to just start adding these sequentially so that you can roll back if you make a change in one that you don't like. But try to avoid the temptation to just blast all these effects to the absolute extreme. Some of these apps do erase all of your effects, so if you've very carefully done one effect after another and then you hit undo, some of them go all the way back. I'm going to be showing a couple of others that don't. iPhoto, which I'm not going to go into here because I think a lot of people have seen that before, but photo touch, retouch will allow multiple undos, and so will Snapseed, another one that I'm going to be showing. You might want to consider using multiple apps, like Camera Plus actually has some things you can do with it. You can set some filters, you can do some cropping, that sort of thing. But then I tend to pull things into Snapseed for doing the higher end editing. So you might want to add these things together, finding the best app for you that does the one piece of it that you want, but you can add them one by one. But remember, all the filters in the world are not going to save a bad photo. If it's bad lighting, it's going to end up bad lighting in the end. So work really hard to get your framing and your lighting right to start with, and you've got a better chance of a great photo when you're done. Digital SLRs have the ability to create a shallow depth of field. You know that great photograph where you've got the person framed with a nice fuzzy background in the back and their face is perfectly sharp. The iPhone camera can't produce this effect because the lens is not fast enough. It can't let enough light in to actually allow that to happen. So the aperture isn't big enough for it to be able to do that kind of photograph. But it turns out you can kind of get that effect with certain applications. There's a technique called tilt shift. Anybody ever seen tilt shift photography? Yeah, it's a really cool technique that allows you to make a photo of something look like a toy. And it turns out using this same technique, you can actually try to get this shallow depth of field, and I'll show you how to do this. But it's a real interesting tool to use to try to get that shallow depth of field you're looking for. Snapseed, which I will demonstrate, and Instagram both have tilt shift, and I'll show you how you can use them. So all right, we get to go into demo time here. So let's see. I'm going to go into the regular camera app first. Oh, shoot. Well, let me see if this will work. I think I need to be on the iPhone for me to do the pano. Wi-Fi, I'm scared. It's going to cost me $80. Okay, no, it found it. Now it's not coming up yet. We'll wait for that to come out back. I'll take this into here. One of the things you're going to notice with the... Okay, why are you not updating?
It's waiting for start. Timer's on. It's waiting to take a picture, I think.
Well, now I'm not even in that app anymore.
Oh.
No. Every once in a while, reflection gets cranky.
Lost your Wi-Fi.
Oh, that's nice. That's probably what it was.
There you go.
Did it get it? Okay, good. There we go. Key splicing on the fly. There we go. Okay, so back to the camera app. So one of the things you'll notice when you're using the camera is, remember Wally was talking about using the rule of thirds? You can see that I've got a grid that comes up on screen that I can actually use for that. So that's a good thing to keep in mind, is to watch for those corner points of where those intersections are, and then you'll be able to get a better framed photo right off the bat. Like we said, it's a little harder to fix it after the fact than it is before or in post-processing. I am not getting that. Okay, so I was going to talk about the pano piece, but I can't get my iPhone to talk to it yet. There's only two things I want to say about that. In the iPhone 5, they've got the panorama option. And basically all you do is you hit pano and then you start going across to take a photo, one long continuous photo. It's pretty hard to do it wrong. It gives you a little arrow that goes up and down on the line as you're being, you know, dorky, not doing a straight line. But there's two things to remember about it. One is it always says left to right. You can actually switch it just by tapping on the line on the right-hand side. It'll actually flip it. So that's one thing a lot of people have asked for. Something to keep in mind is that files can be up to 28 meg, so these files can be gigantic. I used the wrong acronym there, but they can be gigantic. So be careful of doing too many of them without offloading them off your iOS device and getting too much size on that.
Allison?
Yes?
And if you turn your phone horizontally, you can do an upward
Ooh,
and a downward.
Wally suggests going up and down with it horizontally. You can't go this way with it, but you can go up and down and get something really tall. Ooh, that's a cool idea. That is really neat. I like that.
The arrow changes direction when you rotate it.
And it also works on the iPhone 4S.
The panorama app's on the iPhone 4S. Oh, okay. For some reason I didn't ever catch that. I do a lot of accessibility stuff. There's an interesting feature built into the iPhone. I don't have this plugged in right now, but on the iPhone and the iPad, if you turn on VoiceOver, which is in the accessibility settings, a blind person can take photos with an iPhone. It'll actually tell the person there's one face in the photo, there's two faces, there's one face up close. So blind people can take photos now with the iPhone. So how cool is that? Really, really fun. All right, let's go into Camera Plus. So let's see. I'm going to have to flip back and forth. There's a lot to remember on this one. All right. Did I lose it again? Come on. That is getting really annoying. Seems to be every time I flip away from it. There we go. Check my notes for a minute. I bring it up every time. It's going to take forever. All right. So let's see. I got to get into Camera Plus now. And here's one of the biggest advantages of using Camera Plus. Is, let's get out of this timer mode here and go to normal mode. When I go to take a photo, let's say I want to focus on this guy in the front row here. I'm going to actually tap with 2 fingers. Let me do it like this. Whoops. Come on. Come on. What's it doing? Okay, here we go. There, now I've got the 2 spots. So I'm going to drag these around. My focus is going to be here, but I'm going to take the exposure off the... did I get it backwards? That one. So I can actually change where the exposure and where, oops, I got my finger over the thing. With Camera Plus, you can actually change the exposure and the focus. Right now I've just got one, but I can do them separately. You can see the lighting changing as I'm doing that. So that's kind of a neat feature that you get with Camera Plus, where maybe you've got some good lighting in the background, but you want to bring out somebody else's in focus. So that's kind of cool.
Would you get the same effect though if you did the HDR photo?
It would depend. It would depend on where you were in the
Space-time continuum?
yeah, well, what you were actually looking at, you know, what the photo was of. So remember, don't touch that zoom. We already talked about that. Oh, there's another. Please stay with me. There we go. You've also got a burst mode, so you can take a whole bunch of photos at once. And it's giving me a warning to say that those are going to be taken in lower quality. So I'm actually going to stop that. But that's kind of a cool feature with this one too. Oh, I know what I wanted to show you. I got to keep flipping back and forth here. Oh, that's what I'm doing. Keep going on. So in Camera Plus, back in the let's see, where did it go? There we go. I'm going to click on the photos in the bottom left there. And I've got a couple of different options of how I can store these photos. If you look at the menu in the middle down at the bottom, why am I holding this up? You guys can see it up there. I'm holding it up so it's helping. One of the things that's kind of interesting is this stores into a light box. You can see the photos up here. That's the light box. If I click on autosave, I can save it directly to the camera roll, or to the light box and the camera roll. Now that takes a little bit longer, but I like that a little bit better because then I can go do other things to it, pulling it up in Snapseed and that sort of thing, instead of exporting it. But let's say I've clicked on this photo of the pumpkins, I can go into edit here, and I've got a whole bunch of different effects that I can add to this. So I can say, oh, well, let's see if it was cloudy out, would that be a little bit better photo? I can make that look a little bit better. I can add special effects, I can crop the photo. It's got a whole bunch of options, and this is a $1 application. So you can do an awful lot in this one application. You can add your borders, you know, make it look all cute like that kind of thing. So you've got a whole bunch of different features you can do in here. Let's flip back. Oh, I know what I should be doing. Oh, it's because I didn't leave this in. That's why it keeps going back out. So like I said, you can do quick edits, that sort of thing. So let's say I love this photo. I'm going to say I'm done. That's my great creation there.
We can't.
And from there, I can click share.
We're
and
not,
I can go,
Al. We're not seeing.
Oh. Thank you. So once I finish my great creation, I can click on share and I can send it to Facebook, Flickr, Twitter, or email directly from there. So that's a nice $1 app that does an awful lot of things. You know, you can see the filters I put on the photo on the right-hand side. So for $1, that's not too bad. Let's get into some even more fun. We're going to take a look at Snapseed. Snapseed runs on iOS for $5, and it's got kind of an odd interface. I'll bring this back up here. Snapseed is one of the most interesting interfaces, but if I start by, I can open an image in the upper left-hand corner and I can go into my photo library, but I already did that to pull up this photo because I want to show you a couple of different things you can do here. It's got these different filter sort of things you can do on the left-hand side, but the way you control those things is very, very unusual. So let's say I wanted to go into crop first. Actually, crop is boring, never mind. Crop just acts like every other application. That one's not unusual. If I go into selective adjust, let's say this cliff on the left-hand side, I thought that was too dark. So I'm going to tap, and oh, I'm sorry, you see add, the little plus button, add down at the bottom. I'm going to hit the plus, and now as I raise my finger up and down, it's got contrast, brightness, and saturation here on that one side. So I could go to brightness. So I was going up and down with my finger, and now if I go right to left with my finger, I'm changing the brightness of that area. So you can see the number going down at the bottom. Don't go to 100%. So you can go different regions, different amounts there of how much you apply that filter. If I pinch out with my fingers, I can change exactly what's getting affected. So now just that specific thing is changing. You notice the sailboats aren't changing at all. I can go back and I can do a compare to see if I like the old one or the new one better. I didn't apply much of the effect there, I guess. So let's see, let's brighten it way up. So I can change. I can see what the old one and the new one looks like, so you can compare it, which is great. Let me go back and undo that one. Let's see, what's a fun one? Let's see. You can do some of the automatic things. Steve Sanger said one of the first things he does is he increases the sharpening on almost every photo he takes with his iPhone. So you can see if I go to 100%, it starts looking pretty grainy. I don't know if you can see that up there too well, but it's too much. So you can add a loop so you can see the effect exactly where you are. It was my boat when I was growing up. It's the wind, right? But you can see it's starting to get a lot of grain in it there. You don't want to go that far. So that's kind of a nice way of being able to be sure that you're not over applying your filters. We talked earlier about tilt shift, and I chose this photo because of the way tilt shift works. So the first thing you're going to do is change the point. Well, I should explain. So a tilt shift photo creates this weird feeling of a toy in the photo by taking the very center and making it in sharp focus, and then above and below a line it makes it out of focus. Then you increase the saturation in the photo and you increase the sharpness, and those three things together end up causing this odd effect of making it look like a toy. So I can tap on the screen and I can move this blue dot up and around, so I want to make sure that Windride is the one that really looks like a toy, but the others too. I can spread my fingers out, I can tilt that effect, hence tilt shift, I guess. And I'm going to let go. Then on the style, let's see. No, now just with my finger out in the open, I can change the blur strength so I can make it real blurry. outside of that little range. And then I'm going to change the brightness. I'm going to bring up the brightness some, and I'm going to bring up the saturation. Let's go even more. There you go. Now it's starting to look real weird. And now if you look at the original photo, it just looks like a bunch of sailboats, but in here it starts to look like little toy sailboats. Isn't that cool? I love making photos like this. I do it all the time. But there's people who've gone nuts with this. If you look up tilt shift, it's really cool. The photos you can find out there are amazing. There's even people who've done videos. They do like time-lapse videos of people on the beach. They work best when you got a photo looking down on something. They're crazy. You'll swear that these are little models of people that somebody did with Legos or something, and they're actually real people. We talked about changing the depth of field, and let me open a different image for this one. Let's see, I think it was in here. Yeah. So this was to try to make the this look more like it had a bigger depth of field. So I'm going to go into and blur this. So again, I've got this blue dot. I can change where my I can change where my focus is and where I'm going to be working, and I can increase the size of that, and then I can change the blur strength. Actually, that one's, I think I got to be a little smaller. I can start making it look fuzzier around the green. You see how that's a little bit fuzzier, and I've got real sharp on this center point. I could even bring it out here right onto the tip of that stain in there, and I could change the blur strength. I can also within here change the outer brightness. I could bring it up or bring it down. It got a little bit dark a minute ago when I was doing that. And then the inner brightness, maybe I want to bring that one up a little bit too. And you can see how a photo taken with such a small sensor suddenly has this deeper depth of field that you can control. There's presets that you can play with here too. You can mess around and make them look all crazy. I like playing with it on my own. To the right of where it says inner brightness, there's a button that says weak. You see there's a little circle and a big circle. So now the effect is going to actually be amplified more than it was before. So that is, let's see, so there's the old photo, there's the new one. It starts to look a little more interesting, you know, it starts to really pop the things you can do with it. Let me flip back and see what I've missed on this one. Detail sharpening, the loop tuning. Oh, he does tuning on every one of his photographs, and let's see. So I went into the tuning menu, and let's see what our controls are in that. So he says he applies ambiance. I don't know what ambiance means in this context, but I play with the slider, and it looks kind of neat when you play with it. Again, don't go to 100%. Start messing with these until they look like what you're looking at. But saturation, white balance, you can change a white balance on your photo, which is something pretty cool. So down at the bottom, you can see it goes red, green, blue, cloudy, sunny, fluorescent, and flash. So you could change it. That's kind of silly on a photo that was taken in the sunlight, but I guess we'll go to sunlight, and that's the best color for it there. So you can do a lot of adjustments in this thing, all with your fingers, all on your iPad, never having to go back to your Mac. All right, we did tilt shift. So now let's talk a little bit about how to transfer files between devices. We've got PhotoStream, which I think is absolutely spectacular every time it works. I don't know about you guys, but it doesn't work 100% of the time for me. I can't really demo that because of the network and those kind of problems, so that's not really going to work for us. But PhotoStream, I think, does work well. I use it in Aperture, and a lot of the stuff I was doing for these slides, I would take a screen snapshot with the phone or the iPad, which, by the way, in case you don't know, is you hold down the two buttons, the home button and the power button at the same time, and it'll take a photo. A screenshot, I should say, of the screen. So if you use that, then all of a sudden in your iPhoto or Aperture, you're going to get all these screenshots coming in, and I was able to just drag them right into Keynote until one day they didn't come over for a while, and so I had to email them to myself or something like an idiot. Have you guys seen the camera connection kit that Apple sells? $29. You plug that in, and you can take photos to back up your photos from, say, your digital SLR or your point-and-shoot camera. You want to back them up to your iPhoto or your iPad, or maybe you want to use Snapseed to actually do the editing. That would be a great way to move them over, for especially when you're on travel for a while and you want to make sure you have those photos backed up from an extraordinary trip like this. Yeah.
Run that by again.
So here, so we can grab it.
I mean, yeah, I've got the camera connection kit, but how
Okay.
do you use it to get photos from your iPhone to your iPad?
So, oh no,
without
no,
a
not from your iPhone to your iPad.
Okay.
From your real camera, your point and shoot or your
Right.
digital SLR, you can move them from there using it. So one of the plugs is just USB, and one of them is for the SD card.
And you can use the USB one to move from your iPhone to your iPad.
Oh, he says you can
No
move the
problem.
USB one.
Yeah.
So you do the dot connector or a
Yes,
9-pin
a
connector to
30-pin
USB,
connector, 30
or 9-pin
yeah, right.
to USB to move them.
Yes. it
Then how?
works.
So you just open up the camera roll on the iPad, and the photos are just streaming in, or you
It
get to
works
pick them.
like a charm.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, I don't have my USB one because somebody at the Liverpool meetup stole it from me in that bar. I'm kidding. I lost it, is what the real story is. Another app that's kind of interesting is called Photo Transfer app. And this actually allows you to connect two devices and transfer photos between them. So if someone stole your camera connection kit in the Liverpool meetup, you can use this $3 app to transfer them. And you don't have to be on the internet, but they have to be on a network. So right now I've got the MiFi creating this little network. I can move photos from one iDevice to the other using this Wi-Fi network, but not using the internet. It lets you transfer between your iDevices, Macs, PCs, and even Androids. So it's really, really flexible for only $3. And the way it works is you launch the Photo Transfer app, and it looks like this, and it lets you choose, do you want to go from iPhone or iPod Touch? Actually, it calls it an iTouch. That's cute. From the iPhone or iPod Touch to an Apple computer, or do you want to go to a Windows computer, or do you want to go from a Mac back to the iPhone or iPad? They give you all these different options, and you simply click on the one that you want. You're going to then select send or receive. Let's see if I have a screenshot. No. So you have a screen that says send or receive, and then on the Mac you're going to navigate to a web address that shows up on the iOS device. So the iOS device in Photo Transfer app will give you a URL, and it's something real simple. I forget what it was, but you type that in on your Mac, and the two connect, and you can transfer them. So transfer the photos. So it's pretty cool. It'd be a good way to give someone else your photos if you wanted to. You could transfer them that way, or to do a backup from one device to the other. There's an app that hardly anybody seems to ever use, but it comes in handy really, really often. It's built into your Mac, and it's called Image Capture. It's on every Mac. It's been on every Mac forever and ever and ever, but people either know it and forget they have it, or they didn't realize it was there at all. So something I've wanted to do often is just get all the videos off my iPhone, because I only buy a 16 gig iPhone, so I put up get some video in there. It's going to really stack up. So you plug in your device, and it's going to and you launch Image Capture. You're going to be able to see all of your photos and your videos, and you can transfer them directly from there to iPhoto or to Aperture or simply to your desktop. So if you wanted to just move them, or more importantly, a lot of times I'm like tired of seeing that second photo of each of the pairs of HDRs I took. I'll plug it in here and go delete, 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 delete a lot faster than doing it on my iPhone directly. So it's a real nice way to go in and modify what's on your phone. And I just get lazy, and I'll have like 700 photos I took, and I don't care about, this is a picture of like salsa or something, or chutney, I don't know. Well, the martini's interesting, but the salsa maybe not. So it is really nice to be able to manage that your device that way with Image Capture, and it's free because you've already got it. Yeah.
But if you have the HDR and you delete the second photo, then you won't have the HDR benefit.
So what the iPhone stores is one photo and one already combined HDR photo.
Oh.
It's not that you have to have both photos to create it again. It has already created it for you.
So how do you know which one to erase?
You look at them and you decide which one you like.
Oh.
So down on the bottom there's a slider, so you can make them pretty big so you can see. If you can't tell, do it on your iPhone or pull them into iPhoto and then delete. But I pull them all into Aperture, and I do all this great stuff, and then I forget that I've still got that picture of salsa sitting on my phone taking up space. And, it was for a tweet. It's not that important to me. I didn't want to keep it forever. All right. Really fun demo time. I did not know about this application until Steve Stanger, get ready to go, ooh, ah. So let me see. There we go. Wait. Where's reflection? There you are. And you've lost it again? No. No, I didn't ask for photo booth. Okay, one of us is not on the right network. This is the coolest thing when it works. The iPad's on it? No? Alright, let me just... Okay, so I have to come up. There you go. Sometimes it's weird. Okay, so back into photography. Where's photography? There we go. So this app is called Touch Retouch HD, but it's called Touch on your device. So we're going to open a photo from the gallery. Let's see, what did I want to do? Not the pork chops. Here we go. Again, why do I have a picture of pork chops in there? I don't really need to do that. So the purpose of this application is to allow you to get rid of things in photos that you don't want there. That guy doing the photo bomb behind the bride, that kind of thing, you can delete them with this. So you're going to bring it in at high, medium, or low. We'll just pick medium for the time being because we're just fooling around. So this is a picture I took in the gym the day the shuttle was being brought into Los Angeles, and I thought it'd be cool to show all three TVs with the shuttle on it. But the middle two didn't come out right. So let's say I wanted to get rid of that middle TV because it's kind of dumb. I can zoom in, pinch and zoom like this, and then I'm going to tap on the paintbrush in the bottom left, and I can change the size of it. Let's see. I'm just going to color this in and say, I don't want that anymore. And then on the, whoops, the bottom piece. And then there's a play button on the, what is it, the fifth one from the left. You hit play, and I think it's going to extend the bar. Yeah, so you can see the TV's gone. Wow. But now I want to get, let's see. Shoot, no, undo. You got to be fast. When you first hit the brush, you get a slider so you can change the size. So I want to be pretty precise on this, and I'm going to say I want to get rid of that. And we'll say play.
Does it do the loop in the upper left corner for you?
The loop? No, I can just zoom in like this to do the magnification. I don't need a separate loop. Gosh. So now let's do the clone stamp now to get rid of the rest of it. So we're going to say that's a good looking spot there, and I'm just going to wiggle all over there, and now we're done. Okay, why doesn't it get rid of the thing? There we go. I don't know why it's not getting rid of the thingy there at the end, but you can see that I've got, what is that? Get out of my way. Not getting out of that last piece. It's not perfect, but you can see in some really, really quickly for a $2 app with my finger, I was able to get rid of something that was, you can do it with clone stamping, but it's tedious and it never looks quite right. So I think that's a pretty cool app for the money. Wait, say it. Ooh, ah. You can also use the lasso, and I haven't figured out yet exactly why you would use the lasso instead of the other one. So, whoops, undo.
It's just quicker, Allison.
Just quicker?
Just loop round.
Okay.
An entire object rather than trying.
All right, just for fun, let's see if I could grab this entire thing. See what happens. So, oh, okay. So it's just a faster way of selecting it. Oh, you can also erase what you didn't mean to select. So you can go along like that and erase what you didn't mean to get. So we'll put that back. Let's see what happens. Untested demo here. A little bit weird, but you get the point.
It's interesting that the shadow hasn't gone away.
Yeah, well, I didn't touch the shadow down below, so that's probably why. I got on time. All right. So that's again Touch Retouch HD, $2 on the iPad. It isn't universal. It'll cost you a whole nother $1 if you get on the iPhone, and that's from Handy Photo Lab. So again, Steve Stanger was a gigantic help. Gave me most of the tips of where to go with this and how to structure the talk. He's at stevestanger.com. We've got Camera Plus, Snapseed. Snapseed was bought by Google recently, which is kind of interesting. Snapseed also works on the Mac. It's $20 on the Mac, $5 on iOS for both your devices. And I briefly mentioned iPhoto, which is a fun app too. Photo Touch Retouch for $1. We got Instagram, which I don't actually use because I don't like those filters. And let's see, that's about it. Yeah, and then Photo Transfer app was $3 for iOS and Android. and touch retouch for $2, $1 on the iPad and iPhone. So thank you very much. Oh, I didn't say any questions. All right, one.
From your first talk, can anybody recommend a Bluetooth player that hooks up to?
Can anybody recommend a Bluetooth, headphone or speaker or?
Blu-ray.
Oh, Blu-ray burner.
Yeah.
OWC.
A Blu-ray reader.
Player.
Oh, okay. So we can send you that when we get home. Steve's got one, but maybe this guy has another recommendation.
I just went to OWC, MacSales.com, and they have all their the external case and everything, and just plug it in and it just sees it. So, yeah.
So he was saying go to OWC or MacSales.com is a good place to start. Yeah. We can also give you the model number of what we did. Yeah.
Allison, did you mention Photoshop Touch? Because that's really probably the most powerful.
No, I didn't talk about Photoshop Touch. Again, there was an option to go through thousands of apps, and I didn't do that. But
well, Photoshop Touch is produced by Adobe, and it's very powerful. But it has great tutorials.
Oh, good. We got a big endorsement for Photoshop. Photoshop Touch is what they call it, from Adobe. Any other questions? All right. Well, we'll see you in the Mac and Genius bar. Let's go have drinks in a half hour, I guess. Thank you.